Good morning, students. In today's class, we are going to deal with Vedic religion and a little bit part of the society which is left over. So, in the previous class, we had already discussed about the class divisions, we had talked about the four stages of man's life, and we had concluded with education. Today, we are going to talk about food habits of these people, what did they wear, the dress, as well as the ornaments worn by them. When we're talking about the food habits, the main cereal which was consumed by the Aryans, especially in the early Vedic period, was barley. And probably the use of rice and wheat, it was not known to the early Vedic people because we have not found evidences of the term rice in the Rig Veda. However, in the later Vedic texts, rice has been referred to as vrihi, and so we know that the later Vedic people also consumed rice. Cows, they were domesticated for milk and the other milk products such as curd, butter, such kind of things. And during this time, people consumed som. Som was like an intoxicating drink, an addictive kind of drink, which was also offered to the gods and it was consumed by the people during festivals and religious ceremonies. So, food habits are very simple. Early Vedic people consumed barley. Rice and wheat were not known to them. Later Vedic people knew rice by the name vrihi. Cows were domesticated and milk products were consumed. And soma was an intoxicating drink which was offered to God as well as consumed by people during rituals. Now, when we are talking about the dress, from this picture itself, it should be very evident. Their dressing sense was very simple. The women, you can see, they are wearing a sari. The men used to wear a dhoti, as you can see that man with a red shawl wearing a dhoti. This dhoti was called a nivi, and the shirt which they wore above that was called a vasa. As you can see in the picture above the shirt, they have put a kind of shawl or a cloth kind of a thing over it. That was called the adhivasa. So that was their simple dress that they used to wear. You will say the women used to wear sari, the men used to wear dhoti or nivi. Over that they wore a shirt which was called vasa, and over that they loosely tied a garment which was called an adhivasa. The sadhus which were there, the priests, they sometimes wore animal skin such as the skin of a deer which was called mrigchal. Now for ornaments, you don't need any special reference because you have already done ornaments in the Harappan period, and the same thing is applicable here also. That both men and women, they used to wear ornaments. Ornaments could be made either from gold, silver, precious stone, ivory, all these things, and different types as you can see in the picture itself: necklaces, bangles, earrings, nose pins, all these anklets, different type of ornaments were worn by the people. So this is fairly simple. Now, when we are talking about amusements, mainly as you can see in the picture, amusement is what the people used to do in their leisure, in their free time. So they indulged in chariot racing, as you can see in the picture. It could also be a horse racing if they did not have a chariot. They used to sing, dance, or hunt for pleasure. So these were the activities done in their free time. They also played some musical instruments like drum, flute. Flute is what you call bansuri in Hindi. Mridang is something which looks like a dhol that you see in the marriages. And lute is like a very crude, very raw form. It looks like a guitar, though it's not, but it's a very raw form of that instrument. So these were the different musical instruments which were played by the people. And people used to participate in competitive spirits as well. Any kind of competitive sports or gambling, these things were also done for pleasure or amusement. So you can say the amusement during this period included chariot racing, horse racing, singing, dancing, and hunting. The musical instruments like drum, flute, lute, mridang were played, and people participated in competitive sports as well as gambling. Now, with this, we come to the religious belief of the Aryans, and this is a very important portion again because from here questions will come in your exam. So, first, we are discussing about the early Vedic or the Rig Vedic period. So, the Rig Vedic period, they had a number of gods because they used to believe in the worship of nature. So, every aspect of nature was basically given life, it was personified. What do we mean by personified? The quality of giving a non living thing a life. That means, even though that thing is non living, we consider it as a living being. That quality is called personifying it. So, the Vedic people, they used to personify the different elements of nature and they used to give them human qualities. So, things such as rain, sun, earth, they may be non living for us, but they personified it and turned it into gods. The most important among all these gods was Indra. You must have heard the name of Indra, and he is very important because around 250 hymns out of the total hymns of Rig Veda they have been dedicated to Lord Indra. Now, Indra basically he had dual functions. Firstly, he was the god for rain, he was a rain god, and as you know, the Indian society is agricultural, so naturally, rain becomes very important for them, and that is why Indra was a very important god. And secondly, he was also called Purandar or Jitendra. Purandar means the destroyer of forts, and Jitendra means a winner. So, Indra was also synonymous with the god who used to help people in winning the wars. So during this period, whatever war was there, he would be the protector of the people and he would be the warrior. So Indra was their most important god. The second most important god was Agni because they considered sacrifices and rituals to be very important. And they believed that Agni is the link between man and God, and he used to carry the messages of man to God in the form of smoke. So that is why he became the second most important god. And the third position was occupied by Varun, which is the god of water bodies like water, cloud, ocean, river, these kind of things. And it was believed that he is the one who's upholding, who's maintaining the entire cosmic order, the entire universe. Because you know that water is very important, so that is why he became the third most important god. In addition to that, there were many other gods such as Vayu. These are basically synonymous to their Hindi words. Vayu is what? Air. So the god of wind became Vayu. Surya is sun, so the god for sun is Surya. Yam is synonymous to death. So we say Yamraj is synonymous to the god of the death. Rudra is the god of storms. So these were the different, you can see that every aspect of nature became a separate god. But what you need to remember, if I ask you that discuss the religion in the early Vedic period, you will say the early Vedic people, they believed in the worship in the form of natural forces, and every natural force was given a living personification. Indra was their most important god. He was their rain god. He was also called Purandar or the destroyer of forts, and Jitendra or the winner. 250 of the hymns in the Rig Veda are dedicated to him. Second most important god was Agni. He was the link between man and God and used to carry man's message to God in the form of smoke. Third most important god was Varun, who was the god of clouds, oceans, and rivers. He is the upholder of the cosmic order. In addition, there were other gods like Surya, Vayu, Yam, etc. Not only there were gods, there were some goddesses in this period as well. And like right now I said, their Hindi synonymous is similar to the nature element that they represent. Like you know that Usha means morning, so the goddess of the dawn was called Usha. Similarly, Ratri is night, so the goddess of the night was called Ratri. Aditi was the mother of all the gods. Aranyani, since I told you Aranya means forest, so the lady of the forest was Aranyani. Dishana was the goddess of vegetation, all kinds of forests or plants, trees, that was signified by her. So every aspect of nature became either a god or a goddess. This was the early Vedic period. But in the later Vedic period, these gods like Indra and Agni, they lost their importance. They were replaced by another set of gods whom you can see in this picture. They are called the Trinity. These three gods, they represented what religion was in the later Vedic period. So the creator of the universe was considered to be Brahma, or he was also called Prajapati. The protector of the universe was Vishnu, and Shiva was the destroyer. So we call them together the Trinity. We say that a universe is created by Lord Brahma, but this universe needs protection from evils and such things. So whenever there is such kind of an evil threatening the universe, Vishnu, he takes an avatar, he takes an incarnation, and he protects the earth. You are already aware that he took the incarnation of Ram, he took the incarnation of Krishna. There are actually many such incarnations that Vishnu has taken. Matsya was an incarnation as a fish. Varaha was an incarnation as a boar. You must be familiar with Narsimha, which was half lion, half human. So all these are different incarnations of Vishnu. And he comes to protect the earth whenever the evil surmounts, it increases to a very great level. And the third one is Shiva. As you can see in the picture, he's destroying the universe. So whenever a universe is beyond protection, then it has to be destroyed and a new universe needs to be created. So who will destroy it? It will be Shiva. So please remember, later Vedic is fairly simple, that the former nature gods lost their importance and they were replaced by the trinity of gods: Brahma, the creator; Vishnu, the preserver; and Shiva, the destroyer. Now these are the aspects from where again question can come, that how did religion become complicated in the later Vedic period? So for that you need to understand how was the religion in the early Vedic period. So in the early Vedic period it was fairly simple. The yagyas which were there, even a person, an ordinary person, they could conduct these yagyas. The Grihpati, who was the head of the family, he used to sit and he used to do all the yagyas. But in the later Vedic period, they became a daily ritual. Earlier, they were conducted only on special occasions, but now they became a daily routine. And what happened, these yagyas, they were performed by the kings as well as the common people at their level. They also used to perform the yagyas. They used to offer milk, ghee, grains, fruits, vegetables, whatever were to their capacity, they used to offer it to the deities. So the rich people, they could conduct bigger sacrifices, and the smaller, the common man used to do it ordinarily. During these yagyas, the Purohit, the Brahman who used to come, they got a lot of dakshina. They were given gold or expensive clothes or cows. These things they were given to them as gifts. So naturally, by getting dakshina, the Brahmins, they became richer and their position in society already increased. The rituals, that means the smaller ways of doing the yagya, that became very very important. And even slight deviation, that means if a slight mistake was done in performing them, it was considered to be a sin. So naturally, why do you think this was happening? This was happening to increase the position of the Brahmins, because people will naturally become scared performing it themselves, because it's a sin if they do it wrong, so they will call the Brahmanas. So this religion will become very complicated and very expensive for the common man. The king and the richer people, businessmen can do it, but the common people cannot afford to call the Brahmins regularly and get these yagyas done. So this was one of the reasons that made religion very complicated during the later Vedic period. And in addition, the Brahmins, they in fact they introduced many new doctrines. Doctrines are philosophies. They included many new philosophies in Hinduism to make it even more complicated. So they said that it's very important to do penance, that means give punishment to self, to our own body. And it's very important to perform our karma, that it's our dharma, it's our duty. Whatever it's our duty, we have to do it very diligently. And in order to attain moksha or salvation, that means to be free from the cycle of birth and rebirth, it's very important to do these yagyas properly. So this concept of rebirth, that means if you are not doing things nicely in this birth of yours, you have to take another birth. If your karma is not good, probably you will get an inferior birth. So these kind of concepts started gaining popularity, and as a result, the people, they got worried about their next birth and they started doing more yagyas. So why was this being done? So this was being done by the Brahmins to strengthen their position in society. What you need to understand, why did the Brahmins have to work so hard to increase their position? If you remember, in the later Vedic period, it was a period of expansion. So automatically the position of Kshatriyas was increasing in society because wars were there and the warrior class became very important. So in order to compete with them, the Brahmins had to introduce these philosophies to maintain their position in the society. So as a result, no ritual was started without the presence of Brahman, and they became very indispensable, very important in the later Vedic period. These questions are actually very important. I discussed already the religion in the early Vedic period. In the later Vedic period, please remember the Trinity. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the preserver, and Shiva is the destroyer. Very, very important two questions. How did religion become complicated in the later Vedic period? So you will say religion became increasingly very ritualistic. There were a lot of sacrifices and yagyas which were done on a daily basis. The kings as well as the common people, they offered milk, ghee, fruits, etc. during these yagyas. The Brahmins were given a lot of dakshina like gold, expensive clothes, etc. And you have to mention that even a slight deviation from the normal was considered to be a sin. How did, and the the last question, which is very very important, how did the Brahmins increase their position in society? So the Brahmins increased their position in society by introducing new doctrines such as penance or self punishment, which was called tapasya, and it became very ritualistic. That means a lot of rituals had to be performed to do that penance. New doctrines included karma or action, dharma or duty, and moksha or salvation. They believed in the concept of rebirth, and For these, it was very, very important to call the Brahmanas, hence, their position in society was strengthened. So, we have covered Vedic religion. We are only left with the economy of the Vedic period, which we will cover in the next class. I hope this class is clear to all of you.